So I've been meditating over this whole Ashes of Creation situation for a couple days now. I gotta say, I thought I would feel more devastated about the news of it shutting down. Instead, I feel relieved. As I was following this project, I always had this nagging feeling of doubt, despite my copium, and I was right to feel that way. In this video, I want to break down my personal thoughts about this topic and maybe voice some opinions about how we approach these kind of projects moving forward. Stick around or fast forward for my opinion on the often overlooked element that causes these kind of games to fail. I hope everyone who had their hearts crushed by the news of Ashes of Creation shutting down is doing okay, and I'm happy that the I told you so crowd got the W they very well deserved. I am humbled. So let's break this down, and if you don't mind, give me a like and sub, that would be great. First, let me give a shout out to Josh Strafe Hayes, linked below. In his recent video, he talks about our mental state when we put our heart and souls into these startup MMORPGs. How easy it is to ignore the red flags in hopes that someone is finally acting on our wishes for something new, essentially selling us a dream and arguably where the core of the scam lies. We are really just looking for a new social space, to be a part of a community where your status depends on your accomplishments achieved with others. And finally, whatever we think we want out of a modern MMORPG, we already have available today. This really resonated with me, and I kind of wanted to echo his thoughts. It's easy to be blinded by reality when you really want something. It's like staying in an abusive relationship because you can't do any better. He only hits me because he loves me. We have an industry that preys on our desire for something new, selling us ideas inside colorful packaging. Thing is, it's empty. They just made tons of money from thin air, and now they turn around and do it again and again because it was so easy. I had strayed from this core concept. I put aside my skepticism for Ashes of Creation. I had hoped that monthly live streams, system implementations, and a roster of developers was enough to convince others that this is serious. I sure thought so. Now I'm telling myself you were a fool. You knew this was too good to be true the whole time, and it became more evident towards the end. You see, when I started this channel, it was mainly out of frustration over the current state of gaming development and capitalist ventures that poison the quality of modern day games, especially in MMORPGs. At one point, I wanted to make it my mission to warn others about scam games, anywhere from Kickstarters like The Day Before or whatever its name was, all the way to Amazon-style corporation scams like New World. We've seen it before, overpromising and underperforming. Collection of Kickstarter money only to be early release so they don't have to pay you back, despite promises of refunds when the game ultimately fails. I saw Ashes of Creation as the golden standard of game development, convinced originally by Narc's content. I saw people who truly cared about making a game we all wanted to play without the corporate overlords pleasing investors. This felt evident with how they communicated and strengthened with the addition of more developers, and finally by the relative progress the game was making. Afterwards, I made a conscious decision to shift my train of thought. It wasn't doing me any good complaining about games I didn't initially like, quickly labeling it as a scam, especially when I'd swear off a game forever, only to find myself downloading it again after a year or so when quality has improved. It felt hypocritical, but more importantly, I forgot that developers are people who tend to be in this industry because they too care about it. It's not their fault they sometimes end up working for a corporate overlord or someone selling you a dream. Because, as we now have seen it with Ashes of Creation, it wasn't just us who bought into it, it was also the talent that invested its time into that dream, and that breaks my heart the most. Was Ashes of Creation truly a passion project that got in over its head? Or was it a carefully planned scheme that stretched over years, wasting everyone's time? We may never know. But all I can say is that I'm back to being negative. No more optimistic caution, only negative reinforcement from here on out. From now on, I need to see hard evidence like near-finished gameplay. I need to see CEO credentials. I need to look at your history as a business in order to even entertain the idea of supporting a Kickstarter MMORPG. And even then, it's going to be consistently scrutinized over the period of development to release. Lastly, if you need my money, well, you better start doing tricks or something for someone else, because I'm never doing this again. Before I sign off, let me explain the nagging feeling I had with Ashes the whole time I followed the project, and how that feeling grew into worry, and eventually to the end of Ashes of Creation. It's a problem I see with many games these days, and this might be pretty controversial. But my ultimate opinion on why Ashes of Creation failed. Wait for it. It's because of PvP. I'm gonna let that sink in. Yes, I said it. and I believe that PvP ruins MMORPGs and other games to boot. Now, let me clarify. It's not PvP itself that concerns me. It's the environment that PvP invites. It's the people who want to be PvP tryhards. And it's developers constantly having to adjust their game to make everyone happy. And in a fantasy world where I want to explore, fight cool monsters, and use cool skills, I don't want any of it to be affected because Mr. Weed Smoke 420's pissed because his mage doesn't hit as hard as the warrior class, or whatever, leading the development to do this constant balancing act from month to month, eventually nerfing what could have been an epic game. This is just my personal philosophy on the matter. I know it's not as simple as PvP bad. It's just a trend we see following the development of these games, and it seems like no one else notices it. It's for whatever reason, everything ends up being a clone of something else trending. Point is, resources get stretched to mold a whole world that's trying to appeal to everyone. So you're not building your world to make it feel like it's alive and moving, but instead, you're looking for exploiters, coming up with systems to deter people from being assholes, and it's giving too much power to those people and expecting them to play by the rules. Meanwhile, everything else feels bland and uninspired, and now you're broke from all that development time set to PvP, and not in a world where people would pay to be in. Look, it's not that PvP doesn't have its place in MMORPGs. Hell, I've done almost nothing but PvP in Guild Wars 2. I just don't want it to be the main focus of the game. Develop your world and make it a place where I want to be and explore with friends. Don't nerf cool abilities and gear to make everyone happy. Hell, I'd say go further and implement systems that flood with possibility to the point where meta is just an idea and not the final stage. If your class feels strong, then develop creatures that counters that strength. Then add more and more like that without fear of pissing off Mr. Weed Smoke 420. And if they still don't like it, then tell them to go play Fork Knife or Call of Duty if they want PvP that bad. And that's my summary of why Ashes ultimately failed. Let me know what you think. What is your opinion on what the final nail in Ash's coffin was? Leave a comment below. Anyways, thanks for sticking around and listening. Peace out.